1969, a man named George Brinch made a name for himself as a puppet master and magician. People were amazed by how George's puppet, Mr. Friday, could talk on its own. George would actually talk to the puppet from across the stage. Mr. Friday on one side of the stage, George on the other. It was a clever act. How George did it, how he got the puppet to move its mouth and speak, no one ever knew. But it was a clever act indeed. People often heard George arguing with his puppet behind closed doors, and they said it was strange and eerie how Mr. Friday sounded so real. Puppet's voice didn't sound anything like George. It sounded real. For George and his puppet Mr. Friday didn't show up for an act one Saturday night. George's manager went looking for him. He visited his home, but George wasn't there. He searched the area bars, but still couldn't find him. For days passed, and George's manager finally saw on the news that a man had been found in the park, stabbed to death. It was George Brinch. Later that night, when George's manager went home, he found Mr. Friday sitting on his couch holding a bloody knife. On the television was none other than George Brinch and the puppet on the Johnny Carson show, an act they'd filmed the day before George went missing. The manager took the puppet to funeral home and had it cremated in 1980 after he swore. Every time he threw it away, the puppet Mr. Friday would return.